Did you know that someone somewhere is talking about you? Yes, your school district, your business, your church, your nonprofit group is always the subject of a conversation somewhere. Maybe it's Facebook gossip, maybe it's talk around the water cooler, maybe it's written in a newspaper or a blog somewhere. At Right Team Services, we work with you to manage that conversation more effectively, to give all of your stakeholders an opportunity to hear your message. We help you create a culture of transparency in your organization that makes your customers and stakeholders feel comfortable as part of the story, and as a result, will help your business or school district become a more effective, trusted member of your community. Contact me today at rightteamservices@gmail.com to learn more about how Right Team can help you tell your story. At Stiles Electric, we believe in doing the job right every single time. Since 1999, we've built a reputation for being reliable, professional, and experienced across commercial projects throughout East Texas. And right now, we're growing. If you're an electrician or looking to start a career in the electrical trade, we want to hear from you. At Stiles Electric, you're not just another employee, you're part of a team that takes pride in its work and its people. Join a company where service speaks for itself. Apply today and power your future with Stiles Electric. Well, hello and welcome to From the Press Box on the Right Team podcast. It is Tuesday, March 31st of 2026, and we are coming to you from deep in the piney woods of East Texas. I am, of course, David Weaver, the host of the Right Team podcast, and I have a very special guest today, very special guest host today, my good friend Adam Ledyard, the Sports Information Director at ETBU. As this is one of the things, Adam, that happens when you run a podcast with a co-host who's also a pastor during Easter week. His schedule gets pretty full, so Matt had to dip out on us today, but I'm glad to have you kind of pinch hitting for him here today. Thank you for being with us.
For sure. Love talking to you.
So Adam and I have a unique relationship. I'm going to let him tell his side of that story here in just a second. But of course, he is Sports Information Director at East Texas Baptist University, which if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you realize that's a very important part of who we talk about on this show. ETBU, big part of athletics here in our area, particularly in Harrison County, where we are in our little neck of the woods of East Texas. But Adam, I just wanted to start today and I have this with everyone when they first come on the podcast in any capacity. Just kind of tell us your background, where you come from. I will preface this by saying and just letting everyone know, Adam is not a native East Texan. And I think he's kind of proud of that in many ways, but he got here as fast as he could, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of tell us your background and how you ended up being Sports Information Director at ETBU now for, my gosh, this is your 14th year, 15th year?
14 years.
14 years. All right. Well, just kind of tell us your story, and then we'll get going here on the podcast.
Well, I call myself a Buckeye Texan because I was born and raised in Ohio.
We were going to try to not say that word today, but of course you start out with it.
Hey, I got to go back to the roots, So born and raised in Ohio. I went to a private Christian school in Illinois at Olivet Nazarene, and then jumped into athletic communications after that. I did have one stint in Texas before I came over here to East Texas. I was at McMurray University as my first job for 2.5 years, and then moved out for several years before my wife and I moved down here in 2012. So, but the background is played 1 year of football in college before my knees gave out, majored in communications, general speech and broadcasting, and then worked my senior year in college doing sports information, helping with football, and I had a chance to go to the NAIA National Championship as a student assistant, helping with that in the football team. So that was quite an experience, being able to do a four-week run there in the postseason with Olivet. From there, went to Rollins College in Florida, where I started my profession learning in sports information under Dean Hebel down in Orlando, Florida, and I learned a ton there. Just getting into the business, really learning just how to use the internet back in 2000 and how to make that work. And had my first real job in McMurray University, and then took a year off, worked in Ohio for a nonprofit, got back into the business, the Southwest Baptist for 3 years, met my wife there, moved to Illinois, spent a year working for a church doing communications, and then got back into the business again, spent 5 years at Judson University, and then moved down here in 2012 and made a staple hold here the last 14 years. 2 of our boys were born in Illinois. The other 2 boys were born here in Texas. So talk about native Texans. I have 2 boys that are native Texans.
You got some anchor babies there, don't you?
Born in Marshall, Texas before the baby ward was moved over to Longview. So so this is, if you look at it, counting my internship, I think year 24, 25 doing athletic communications, and built my way up, and now here assistant AD for communications at ETBU, doing a lot of different things to help grow everything here at ETBU. So it's been a fun few years in the business, all over the place in the United States, been able to promote lots of great student athletes and coaches and travel around the United States and do a lot of different postseasons. So married my wife. We met at Southwest Baptist. She was the grad assistant volleyball coach there, and she has an athletic background. She played volleyball at Evangel University in Missouri. So athletic family, 4 boys. It's never a dull day. A lot of tiredness with in the thick of it now with a 17-year-old down to a 9-year-old. So lots of stuff going on, but we enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to. And again, folks that follow our show kind of know my background as well. This is why I say Adam and I have a unique relationship. Coaches come and go at ETBU, but SIDs pretty much stay the same, because in 26 years now, they've had 2. I was there, and then Adam, and then that's it. And credit to him, he's lasted way longer than I did, and taking it to heights I could have never taken it. So he's my hero. He really is. I admire what you do for sure. And you have, as you mentioned there, you've multiple dipped your toe in the Texas water, so to speak. I mean, you've come and you were at McMurray, and then you go back north into the Midwest, and then you end up coming back. You just can't get away from here, can you?
No, I've always loved Texas. I mean, just it's one of the places, we're looking in college and where you want to go. Texas was always on my map. I had relatives that lived down here in the 80s in Odessa, and so I'd always liked Texas. Came down here for a mission trip 1 year in college in San Antonio, and so Texas had always been on my map.
Right. You and I had met each other the first time when you were at McMurray, obviously as their SID, and I was at ETBU. So we kind of got to know each other really kind of together in the first part of our careers in the business. I mean, you and I were kind of like the rookies or the young bucks of the ASC SID group at that time, which was a lot different than it is now. We'll get to that here in a second, but yeah, I mean, so Adam and I really go back 25 years or so, kind of off and on, and it was a different world back then in D3, wasn't it?
Oh yes,
early 2000s.
And a bit of ETBU history. I was here for the very first ETBU football game played at Marshall High School because Ornelas Stadium wasn't ready to be played in yet. So
yes,
that's just, that's how God works. It's just crazy that 26 years ago, that was something that happened. And now I've been here the last 14.
And to show you how old I am, I don't remember you actually being the SID then, but I remember that day. It was my first home game to ever try to stat a game on Stat Crew. We had numerous glitches. Of course, it wasn't our home stadium. We were literally flying by the seat of our pants over there at Maverick Stadium. Could not wait to get Ornelas opened as fast as it did. And of course, as you said, we had to wait that one game, and you guys were that one game. And it turned out to be a memorable one for ETBU, maybe not such a memorable one for McMurray at the time, but it was the first ever conference win for ETBU, and playing a team that at the time was considered one of the, at least that season coming into it, maybe one of the top two, if not one of the best teams in the ASC, right? As I remember.
Yeah, they were in the top three. They were in that top tier of football that year.
Yeah, and you know, I did hear some say that loss kind of started the decline a little bit of McMurray there for a few years because for a while they couldn't beat ETBU.
Yeah, it might have. There was a number of things that happened. Coach Rydell, who already passed away, who was a big staple holding that program, and you know, just as it is in Division III, coaching turnovers and things like that. So a lot of different factors. You're recruiting against Hardin Simmons and Abilene and things like that. So
we couldn't beat anybody else, but for some reason we could beat McMurray for about 5 or 6 years, and then things started to change and turn a little bit, and y'all kind of started evening it out. But it was one of the odd things that you just see in this business where you literally just one team for whatever reason seems to have the other team's number, and you know, we couldn't beat you in anything else but football for some reason. It was just one of those matchups that you know, favored the Tigers at the time, at a time when very little favored us, to be honest. But anyway, again, that's kind of a look back on memory lane. Let's kind of fast forward here because I do have some questions for you, and I want to get you on record with some of this stuff. So, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, of course, sports information at the Division III level has changed quite a bit since 2012 when I last left campus out there. You guys all of your events are now available via streaming, right?
Yeah, a lot of the home events are correct.
Yes, which was just a far off dream back in my day. And I mean, we were just getting on Twitter at the time. I mean, we were just finally starting to use that and social media, and you came and made that explode as well. And so basically talk about some of the changes that you implemented in your day-to-day operations in terms of game coverage, game availability over the internet. Just what are some things, you know, kind of take us into your world on a daily basis this time of year. What all goes into being a sports information director at ETBU?
Like right now, we're starting in 2012.
Well, I mean, you can go all the way back. We got plenty of time.
Well, you know, in 2012 when I got here, your part was under the like development and public relations department, and they moved my position then over to athletics. And so when I got here, all I had was a desk and a couple computers, not really a budget. You know, they had to figure some things out. And so pretty much it was taking what you had and starting from scratch again too, and building up from that and learning how to navigate through those waters and figure out, okay, what's next. And that's where we decided.
And let's just say this, you started a couple of weeks before football season started?
No, I started right when I think a week after football started.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you came. I mean, I left at the beginning of August, and you got there right after football season had started.
Yeah, we moved.
Not the most ideal time for those out there for a sports information director to start.
In the end of August because it was hot, very, very hot. We were not used to that living in Illinois and moving down here, and we had 2 young boys, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I pretty much left my wife at the place and had to jump right into work, launched the new website. We had a home volleyball match. We had we had our first home football game that week, so it was the first week of football. And then the next week we went out to Oregon to Willamette, and I had to go out there and broadcast that. So I hit the ground running getting here, and it's not stopped. But it's like when I talk to the college sports communicators when I'm on some of their panels, you look at every year, you look at what's on the radar in athletic communications. You know, is it social media? Is it live streaming? Is it AI? Is it you know, just the different things that come along? And you look to see, how do you stay ahead of the curve? How are you going to help your school? How are you going to help them grow, tell their stories? What are you doing to stay ahead of the curve? And so that's one thing that I've tried to do here at ETBU is stay ahead of the curve. You know, brought in some corporate sponsorship stuff, started that from the ground up to bring some income into athletics to help with that, and bring some corporate sponsors on in the community and show what their support is to ETBU and generate some funding then for athletics. We've done some marketing things and learning how to branch out into the community with different things and different events. And coaches have done a great job over the years doing that on their own now. An emphasis, you know, brought on by Ryan Irwin and Dr. Blackburn, getting more into the community and how we help them with that. So it's just looking at that, looking at how do we implement, okay, hey, this is coming down with the live stream. We know when we got here, you guys had I think it was just like webcams doing live streaming, which at that time was what a lot of people were doing. And I looked at it and said, well, what can we do to make that better? So we found another avenue to do live streaming to help implement a better way of watching games, just getting on and watching the games. They're not any audio or anything like that. It's just here you can watch the game. And back then that was ahead of the technology with the way things were looking, you know. And then as social media came, what can we do to help with social media? Well, there's some graphics. Okay, how do we get into infographics? Used to be huge for a while there, for 3 or 4 years. So we tried to figure out how we can implement infographics. And then, you know, more clean pictures came in and more video came in. And, you know, about 5 years ago, I started implementing more creative stuff. And now everybody's doing creative things. And so we were ahead of the curve with a lot of that, getting on board with the NIL stuff with Open Doors. We were the first small school to join Open Doors for NIL education, but also just for small schools to get on board to disperse the media that would take all the pictures. Like we were up there before they blew up with their NIL education and NIL overall, before that even came into the picture. They were more of a media aspect of helping student athletes promote themselves. And so we signed on with them in COVID and started delivering pictures to our student athletes, post pics and then game pics. And every month, Open Doors would come on and show us who has the most downloads. Well, out of all the schools that were with them, ETBU was always in the top 25, and the rest were all Division Ones. So ETBU was up there with what we were doing with the bigger schools at Division One. So it's always something where we look at what are we going to do to help stay ahead of the curve. You know, right now it's AI. How can we get AI to help in this business and to grow what we're doing to help tell stories, help write stories, and to take 3 or 4 hours off your plate as an administrator, as somebody at game events, so you can go home a little earlier and that sort of thing. So you always try and see what's ahead and how you can get ahead of that and help with it and bring it to the school. Live streaming, ETBU just signed with Flow Sports, and so it's figuring out what we can do now to help engage our live stream for next year. What are we going to do to strengthen that and learn different things for that? So it's different every single year. And you just have to pay attention to what's happening and what's coming down your way in communications and athletics, because you sort of see what's happening in Division One, and you see, okay, hey, this is what they're doing. What can we do? What's coming our way, and how can we prepare for it? So it's a lot of listening and watching and just seeing what's ahead and trying to get there before it comes to Division Three.
And that's a great explanation because, again, it's been 14 years since I was in the business, and we were just starting to see some of that start to spread a little bit. And for the first 12, or for my 12 years, at least it started out, it was more print material. It was more, everyone was still dependent on printed media guides and printed programs. And I loved doing those because that was my background, but it completely drained me because it was so much work and there was no AI at the time. And so everything that was written was you wrote and you came up with, and you had to spend time doing it. And then, oh, by the way, cover all the events. Now at the time, and I've just went back and counted on the website, we had 10 sports, 5 on the men's side and 5 on the women's side, right? You guys have now, I believe, 26. If I'm counting that right, something like that.
I believe so, counting the developmental teams, the club teams and all that. And then next year we should have 27, I believe, adding women's flag football. So
yes. Yeah. And so you've added, just pure numbers there, 17 sports in 14 years. And oh, by the way, you still have 1 SID. So, right.
Well, yeah. They've done a great job of supporting that here. Like, now I have a full-time position, which I'm actually interviewing people for this week, and moving it to a creative position, somebody that can come in and run all the creative aspect of it. And then there's 3 like post-grad / intern positions too, one for like broadcasting, one to help with SID stuff, and then one that's sort of SID and creative. So there's a lot of help outside of what I'm doing that ETBU has supported me with over the years. And then we have a great budget for student workers, so they've really come along as I've asked for things to implement. They've also supported that and said, okay, here you go. This will help you grow in your area. This is what you need. So to show that, on Saturday was the first time that we've streamed 3 things live at the same time. And I've never done that here, where we had baseball, softball, and lacrosse all at the same time. And we figured it out. We got it going, and we got it up and running. And to me, it was a historic moment in my area, because there's not a lot of schools. There's some schools up north that have bigger staffs and bigger schools that they can do things like that. But for us to be able to do that and pull it off, and as like Ryan Irwin says, it takes a village. It took a village on Saturday with everything that was going on here. And I was part of that village. Yeah, everybody stepped up and helped. We had a lacrosse player do the camera for us for the game. We had Kent Reeves intern do the scoreboard for softball for us. So everybody stepped up to make it work here, and it was a very successful Saturday here at ETBU with so many events going on. Bear Creek Smokehouse came out and did an event, and it was awesome. So there was a lot with beach and lacrosse, baseball, softball, all at home. It was a fun day, and so like Ryan says, it takes a village, and that's what it was Saturday. We figured out, my broadcast guy, Mark Robinson, figured out how to make it work on the Mac laptop, and got it done. And we had 3 live events going at the same time on our watch page, which was pretty cool. It's the Super Bowl of SID work, right? Yeah. And just to kind of tell you, I knew things were working great when, after the softball game, I walked up to the baseball game, and Adam is appearing about as relaxed as I've ever seen you on a game day. You weren't really, and this is going to sound bad, but you weren't really doing anything. You were just kind of standing and watching baseball because you had everything covered and everything was working right. And I could just tell the big weight that was off your shoulders because you did pull it off. Yeah, it was a good day. And I had my 2 boys there too. 2 of my 4 boys, my 2 youngest were there too. So it was fun watching them play and enjoy watching baseball and play them out there playing in the yards and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I don't get a whole lot of chances just to step away but when I can, it's nice to step away and just watch everything as it goes, because it's like putting a puzzle together. And when it comes together and it's complete, and you're like, wow, that is a beautiful moment. That is a beautiful puzzle. That's what Saturday was. You know, it was a lot of teamwork amongst everybody here at ETBU. I mean, Tiger Day was happening. So there was a lot of great combinations of people working together to make Saturday a great day for ETBU.
Let's talk about some of the sports real quick, with the ones that are actually in season now. Of course, spring is always a busy time. That's when a lot of these things spring, you know, a lot of these teams actually play in the spring. So, and you have off season for other teams that are getting ready for the fall coming up. So, I mean, this is kind of like the convergence of everything, right, in spring. And on top of all that, like you said, you've added some new sports. This is the first year for beach volleyball. And of course, you guys actually have a beach volleyball facility right behind the gym. And how has that gone as far as getting prepared for a new sport such as beach volleyball to be at East Texas Baptist University?
Well, this is, I think, year 4 in beach volleyball. So,
for you guys?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the first year. That's my mistake.
No, this is, I think, her 4th year for beach volleyball. And so last year she had 2 invites, and this year she's had 2 invites. So we're starting to get the hang of it. You know, in acrobatics and tumbling, I think it's in year 8, I believe. And we're hosting the D3 invite next week, actually, here with 7 or 8 teams coming down to be in Marshall, Texas for the acrobatics and tumbling Division III national invite. So it's been good. Like we've talked about, it's all about planning. It's all about working together, figuring things out, putting the puzzle together, and who can work where and when and how we get things done. The big key, though, is planning ahead. You know, knowing what's coming. How can we get this done? Because for the last three postseasons, baseball, softball, we've hosted regionals at the same time, you know, and there's not many Division III schools that do that. There was, I think, 3 or 4 schools that did that at the same time. And then there was the one year we held both super regionals at the same time, you know, in 2023, and then 2024, I think we did 2 years in a row. And then 2024, 23 and 24, you hosted the national championship tournament for softball. So it's just a lot of planning, a lot of talking through things, seeing who can work where, finding people to help when something happens, and hey, I need this person to help here. Do you have anybody? You know, and finding people and not being afraid to ask for help. That's the main thing. Saying, you know, a week ahead of time, knowing, okay, hey, I still haven't found anybody to work this area. Do you have anybody? Do you have any ideas? And everybody pitches in and says, well, what about this? What about this? And so you're not waiting until 2 days before asking, hey, I haven't found anybody yet. Where if we plan ahead, we know what we're getting ourselves into, and everybody can help out with it.
Yeah, and of course, you can't talk about some of the challenges, I think, maybe not necessarily for you, but from a competitive standpoint of the kind of the changes in your conference right now. Let's talk about the American Southwest Conference for a minute. The last couple of years, I've seen a steady stream of, teams leaving the conference, and to the point where you guys in basketball, for example, you had 6 conference games, right? Home and away with the other 3 Baptist schools, correct?
Yes.
And then a conference tournament, and softball is kind of, and baseball even, are having to kind of, you know, go all over the country literally to find games because their conference is so small now. Now, Matt and I have talked about on the show about how that's changing a little bit. You know, you got a couple of them now coming back next year, starting next year. But from your seat and with your knowledge, kind of where are you guys right now in terms of an American Southwest Conference member and the conference itself, and what are some things that we can look forward to as far as maybe the conference kind of regrowing itself a little bit?
They're at a great point right now. Leslie, who's our commissioner, has come in and she's been going through everything and saying, do we need this? What's going on here? How do we tweak this? Our new assistant commissioner, Sierra, who helps us overlook stuff, she's been great with looking at things too in the athletic communications realm. With now we're voting for players of the week, which I've been vying for years, and it's finally coming through where they're like, yes, we need to do this. So we've got great leadership now up there, actually going through everything, going through the bylaws point by point and seeing we're no longer a 12-team conference. Why is this in here? Why do we say this? And so they're actually reshaping the American Southwest Conference from when you were here to where it's being, where we're going to go. We'll be a 6-team conference next year, which is great. And everybody's locked into 10 years in that. Everybody agreed to be part of it for 10 years and is locked into the American Southwest Conference. So we know nothing is going to happen to the American Southwest Conference. Like, we're only going to grow and get better. We got the football, 6 teams playing football. So you have that, and you have your automatics in for all your sports, because the Division III gives you 2 years to figure it out. And we got 2 schools to come back in McMurray and Schreiner, and they're going to come in next year. And I think it's only going to get better because even with the 4 teams this year, we're still very strong. If you look at the postseason,
oh yeah,
and what like we have done, and Hardin Simmons and Mary Hardin Baylor and Howard Payne, and in the postseason aspect of the NCAA's, just how well everybody's done in the postseason. And some of the other conferences have not done that well, and we're a 4-team conference. So part of it is, do you want to come be a part of greatness and excellence and grow and be competitive, or do you want to be a part of something that's we've got a chance to win and make it, but you get to the postseason, you're not really going to have a chance to win. Where, if you win the American Southwest Conference, you've got a shot to make a deep run in the NCAA's, just because of how competitive it is in our conference. Volleyball this year went to the Elite 8. Basketball season, we had 2 teams go 2 and 3 rounds deep. And soccer, the same thing. So it's very competitive, and it's growing, and we're going to get that recognition. And I think that's part of the reason why, the ASC signed with Flow Sports too, to strengthen the identity of the American Southwest Conference and to grow that aspect of it. So they're making some great decisions. They're looking at what's best for the conference, the presidents and the commissioner and the athletic directors. And it can only go up from here. And yes, it's been a hard year. Every school in our conference has had to find games. I don't think I've ever hosted as many games ever in my career at home in one single season, because, and we knew that going into this year, that teams were going to have to come down here and we were going to have to travel. So we knew that. So we prepared for that. We knew that we were going to have to do tournaments and invites for every single sport, just because teams needed games. And that's what we did. People will come down and play each other, and we'll try to get Marshall, Texas a destination place, and play teams that you're not going to be able to play anywhere else. So they've done a lot of that this year, and I think that'll continue to happen, just because they've done that in the past. And now they know, hey, it's a great place to go, Marshall, Texas, where we're at. And they can come down here and play several different Texas teams, which you don't always get that. And so we'll see what happens, especially with the NPI and how that'll affect and things like that. So, but overall, I think the conference is in a great state, and it's only going to get better. They're really looking at things, making the right decisions on how we do players of the week and postseason awards, and what kind of postseason awards we need, and what does it mean for postseason and these bylaws, and really going through everything, and honestly restarting the American Southwest Conference in a sense, looking at it,
Yeah.
and it's more like it's going to be the AASC 2.0, growing that and making it better.
Yeah. And you mentioned some of the success you had. We would be remiss, you and I, if we did not mention baseball and softball in that group, right? I mean, within the last 3 years, those teams have each had a World Series appearance, including actually a national championship in softball, of course. So a lot of good stuff going on at ETBU for sure. And I do want to get your thoughts on this, because in a million years, I would have never considered this particular sport to be at ETBU. But of course, hockey is now a big part of your athletic department, and you also get to cover those games. And what's it been like for you, from your background of coming from the upper Midwest and Ohio? Were you familiar with hockey? Was this your first time to ever get to actually be a part of a hockey program? What's that been like for you?
I knew nothing about hockey. So, with that, since it's a club level hockey and it's not NCAA, I don't have to do the statistics for it. So we let them take care of the statistics and report it to the ACHA. And same thing with lacrosse. We do that, they report it to the MCLA. But you still have to learn the ins and the outs, the game day stuff, staff it. Black Dog Hockey live streams all of our games. So we still have to have a crew there to live stream the games, and learning how to do that. You still have to have music and different things like that. So the first year we were just trying to figure it out, and then the last 3 or 4 years it's become like a professional broadcast. Like we did 2 different angles this year for Black Dog. They sent us stuff and said, we want you to be one of the first ones to do this for your level and what you're doing. So they sent us the equipment to do 2 cameras from where we're at for our hockey games. And so we're running 2 views from up high, like one that's closer and zooming in for the hero shot, and then one that's a little bit wider, watching the puck go around with the teams. And we were one of the first schools to do that for them at our level. And so trying to treat it professionally in what we do. And the hardest part of getting used to it is 10:30 or 11 o'clock game times, then playing until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I can go on those Friday nights, but those Saturdays when there's football games or away football games, I can't. But then they turn around and play at 2 o'clock the next day, And so getting a hockey crew that'll be a hockey crew to do the live stream stuff, to go back and do that and set that up. So it's been a great adventure. They do a great job of having open skates for fans. Those Friday night games are big for college students and families and stuff. Every now and then we will get a 7 o'clock start when the Mudbugs are out of town. And so they'll do like a family skate or an open skate after that, and you'll get the students to come. And it's a great atmosphere. The hardest part is it being 30 minutes away. Outside of that, you still get crowds that come out. They'll drive out there, bring their jackets and stuff, because it could be 90 degrees outside, but when you get inside, it's 65 degrees.
Yeah, that ice is for real. That is real ice.
It's a great atmosphere. They play in a professional arena, which a lot of the ACHA teams don't get to do. They're more in compact arenas. So again, it's learning as you go. As with all the sports that have been brought onto here, you learn how to work with the sport. What's the ins and the outs, the rules. How can we make it work with live streaming? How can we make it better? What are we going to do next year? So there's a lot of things each year that come up that we try and do, but you roll with it, you learn, you grow, and it becomes a big part of your ETBU experience. And a lot of people love hockey here. They want the jerseys, they want the gear. How can we get that? Because hockey's a big thing, and we're still telling people ETBU has hockey 7-8 years in. They're like, ETBU has a hockey team? Yeah, we have 2 hockey teams actually. They're like, really? So you play hockey in Texas? Yeah, there's ice rinks that you can play on. So it's fun talking about it when people ask about that, and then like bass fishing too. You guys have bass fishing? Yeah, we have bass fishing. We're actually a national champion. We won in 2022. Really? Yeah. So
yeah, you talk about both ends of the spectrum. You got bass fishing, and then you have hockey in the same athletic program. That pretty much runs the gamut. There's everything kind of falls within those two extremes.
But it's great. We get a lot of coverage for it. When the bass fishing team does really well, we get a lot of some television coverage and some print coverage on them, and asking, hey, can we talk to the bass fishing coach or to your players, or can you send us that article and picture about what they did qualifying for nationals? And and when we won the national championship in 2022, we got a lot of television coverage in the area, and then of course a lot of screen time on CBS Sports because they covered the whole event. So it's a pretty neat thing because you get to see ETBU on the big screen with that. You get to see ETBU in the hockey realm, in the club realm. It's one of the Texas schools in the South that has hockey, and people know ETBU. You get to play the big school names in hockey, like Texas and Texas A&M and LSU. So those SEC names that you see, you're playing in hockey. And people are like, you're playing Texas? Yeah, we're playing Texas, their club hockey. Well, that's pretty cool. And you have Texas fans come out and watch them play Texas because the Texas hockey team is in town. So just things like that where it brings more awareness to ETBU when you can put that with the big brands of a Power 4 school and things like that. Even if it's a club sport, still, you're playing the University of Texas. So it's neat to see and promote and things like that.
I was going to say it kind of sells itself at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, as we get ready to close out here, I did want to kind of get you in your fields here maybe a little bit, but so you've been doing this now at ETBU for 14 years, going on 15, going strong, 25 years plus, as an SID or getting close to that, as you said. Why do you continue to do what you do? What's your why for doing this?
It's my gifts. God has given me gifts of communications, and it's something where you want to use your gifts. And we're at a place where we can tell stories of these student athletes and what they've done with Jesus Christ and how that's shaped and molded their lives. And that's the biggest thing, is being able to use my gifts to glorify God in what we do. And in this area where we have so many student athletes and the things we do here at ETBU, we get to do that through their mission trips, through the academic awards, through their interviews post-game and things like that, to help promote Jesus and all that we do. And so that's the biggest why, is using my gifts that God has given me to promote the athletic side of collegiate student athletes at this level, because they don't always get to glorify God in what they do nationally, like you see with professional and divisional athletes. But at our level, we can do what we can to put the word out there on what they're doing here, and it still impacts the world at a different level. And that's the key, is being able to do that and to spread His love and all that we're doing, and to make sure that we are staying with that focus on Him, not about all the accolades and things like that. It comes back to Jesus Christ and what He's done in our lives. And that's what we try to tell here in the things that we do.
And that's very appropriate, especially with some things that have gone on the last 24 hours, even with, people trying to show their faith and literally losing their jobs for it. I don't know if you followed that story with the Bulls and Jaden Ivey, I believe, but anyway, it is comforting to know and to be at a place where you have the freedom to do that. And ETBU certainly has long been a beacon for that. So we do appreciate you guys being able to help those students and help them grow both physically and spiritually, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that my career has been in the private Christian education realm. And it's just something that I've always loved doing and being a part of, and pushing forth what the school believes in. And everywhere where I've been able to do that. And God's blessed us here for 14 years. We never thought we would be down here for 14 years, but God had a different plan. And so we've had a great time and continue to grow here in East Texas.
Well, good. And I'm not going to kid you anymore. By now, you've lived here long enough. You are East Texan, so just know that you have that. That I don't know if that's good or bad for you, but you have certainly major place here for sure, Adam. And that's a great segue into what we like to call the final word here on our podcast. And I did this yesterday, and it's the first time I did it. Normally, Matt and I just share a little Bible verse and kind of give our thoughts on that as kind of a little mini devotional. But found some audio clips online, and I just think this is, at least this week, is a little bit more appropriate, just to kind of hear from some athletes or some coaches out there that do take the opportunity to share their faith and their beliefs. And so today we're going to hear a little clip from new Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak, who is being interviewed. I believe this is Sports Spectrum that was interviewing him originally, which Sports Spectrum is a kind of a Christian organization that does this. They reach out to athletes and coaches and folks in the sports world and kind of get their little testimonies here. And this is one from Coach Kubiak that I thought was very appropriate this morning. So I'm going to play that clip here, and then we'll come back and close out the show.
What's up, guys? We're here with Clint Kubiak at Super Bowl opening night. I want to just start with your faith and the importance of your faith in Jesus in your life.
Yeah. This is my favorite question of the night. I'm glad I got to talk to you guys. I've learned from many chaplains that I get to be around different teams that your identity is not in your job. Our identity is in Christ. And when I learned that, and I spent more time in the Word from all the mentors I had in coaching that, helped me get into Bible studies and read the Word every day, it just, it took a really heavy load off. Just knowing that, I'm a child of God, and football is something that I do, but trying to be a good father and be a faithful husband is way more important than any of that.
Little Birdie told me that there was a gift that went to all the players and coaches, which was a Bible. Why was that important to do that?
Yeah, because that's the most important thing. That's I don't know who told you that. They totally are in trouble right now. But
well, you got a lot of coaches and players on your team, so I can't out who it was. But
no, it's just you're trying to find Christmas gifts for guys every year to show them that you love them, and what better gift than that?
I agree.
Yeah.
That is a great word from Coach Clint Kubiak of the Las Vegas Raiders. Not so much a Raiders fan ever, Adam, but I can get behind someone who shares his faith like that. Very important perspective on living life with a faithful perspective and as a husband and a father.
Yes, well, especially giving Bibles out to all of his coaches and staff, and he goes, what better way to do that? You look for Christmas gifts every year, so what better way? Not is it better just to give them a Bible right away, and knowing that that's the best gift to give them. So
yeah,
it comes from the top. Leadership comes from the top, and if your leader is heading in the right direction and grounded, it's going to be neat to see how that all develops and how God blesses him there.
It's very uplifting for me, and I know probably for you as well, because you don't see this side of athletes a lot, and they're there. It's just the way the media is set up. You have to kind of search for these kinds of things, and then when things like this pop, everyone's kind of surprised, right? But I do believe there's way more influence, as you said, sometimes from the top. Sometimes it happens at the locker room level where teams turn that focus to Christ and then are bold enough to share it. And so I do appreciate these folks taking a stand from their platform. It's very powerful.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing more of it now, especially in the NFL and college football, and a little bit more in Major League Baseball. And then you saw what happened in the NBA, speaking up like that. But at least in the NFL, you're seeing a lot more of the players speaking about their faith. And even I know, and I'm a Buckeye fan, but if you step aside and outside of that, and you look at what they did last year with their team and how they professed Christ and had a revival on campus before their season started. More schools and more teams are starting to do that. You're starting to see more baptisms with college teams and coaches and players going into their season. So there's a revival coming. There's a revival on campuses, and it's fun to see how God is moving through some of these athletes that have a larger platform and their impact.
That's right. And if it can happen in Columbus, Ohio, it can happen anywhere.
I don't know about Ann Arbor. That's another place that it
go ahead.
can
You can say it. You can say it. You can go ahead and just say it on the podcast. You can say Michigan. You can go ahead and say it.
No, you know what they say in Ohio is you drive north until you smell it, and that's where you're at.
Hey, we say that down here in Texas about Oklahoma. So I can relate to that for sure. I don't know. And again, my Lady Horns last night, I don't know if you saw this, took care of business against Michigan. And they had the little, what I call stare gate. I don't know if you saw that video where for some reason Michigan was trying to, I guess, intimidate Texas as we're walking. So they all line up in a group and just stare them down. And then they go out there and they promptly get beat by, 40. So at least they got their stare in. But and again, we are following it here, folks. Of course, the Final Four on the women's side, of course, in Division I is set, of course, and just like Matt and I predicted at the beginning, all number ones are going to be in the Final Four. So that was an easy bracket to pick. But again, we'll touch on some of that here later on the show. As we are wrapping it up here with my good friend and co-host, special guest co-host today, Adam Ledyard. He is Adam and I'm David, and this is from the Press Box on the Right Team Podcast. Thank you again for listening and supporting us right here from our little place, our little neck in the woods in the heart of the East Texas Piney Woods. If you enjoy our show, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube at the Right Team Podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook for additional content and updates that you do not want to miss. We're just getting started with things, and we've got plenty more ahead with something for everyone. So stay tuned and do not miss an episode. That's the importance of subscribing and liking, Adam. A big thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Stiles Electric, East Texas Baptist University, and Right Team Services. We truly appreciate your support. Thanks again, Adam, for being our guest host today from the Press Box.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's always great talking to you.
We'll have you back on for sure, and we appreciate what you do. Quick programming note here. We will have no podcast tomorrow, which is great for a daily podcast that we promote, but we will have no podcast tomorrow. Matt and I are a little bit out of pocket this week with it being Easter, and so we just will not be able to tape a show tomorrow, but we will return on Thursday and get caught up on the latest from the sports world around here in East Texas and even beyond. Until then, as always, every day, keep writing your story. At Elysian Fields ISD, we're more than just a school district. Tradition lives here, where pride, excellence, and community are passed down from one generation to the next. From the classroom to the competition floor, our students carry on a tradition of hard work, character, and success. And now, it's your opportunity to be a part of it. Elysian Fields ISD is currently accepting inter-district transfers. Visit our website at www.efisd.net to learn more. Join the tradition. Experience the difference. Elysian Fields ISD, where our past carries our future. Nestled on the shores of beautiful Caddo Lake, Karnack ISD is where education feels like family. Serving students from pre-K through 8th grade, Karnack offers a close-knit environment where every child is known, supported, and inspired to succeed. Here, it's more than just a classroom. It's a community that takes pride in giving each student the attention they deserve. With strong values, caring educators, and a true family atmosphere, Karnack ISD is shaping bright futures every day. Learn more at www.karnackisd.org. Karnack ISD, where every student matters.
Connecting students to their passion and equipping them for their purpose. East Texas Baptist University is a Christ-centered institution committed to challenging and encouraging each student in mind, body, and spirit. With over 45 undergraduate programs and 14 master's degrees, ETBU's educational experience enables you to discover your purpose, find your path, and pursue your calling. Join the Tiger family today. It's not too late. Apply today at etbu.edu/apply.
Did you know that someone somewhere is talking about you? Yes, your school district, your business, your church, your nonprofit group is always the subject of a conversation somewhere. Maybe it's Facebook gossip, maybe it's talk around the water cooler, maybe it's written in a newspaper or a blog somewhere. At Right Team Services, we work with you to manage that conversation more effectively to give all of your stakeholders an opportunity to hear your message. We help you create a culture of transparency in your organization that makes your customers and stakeholders feel comfortable as part of the story, and as a result, will help your business or school district become a more effective, trusted member of your community. Contact me today at rightteamservices@gmail.com to learn more about how Right Team can help you tell your story.